Good evening and welcome back to day 2 of the Music Technology in Education Conference, brought to you by Music Teacher magazine. So we've got a great lineup today, and I'll now hand over to Phil, who's going to talk about tools for blended and remote learning. So Phil, if you'd like to briefly introduce yourself, and away you go.
Thank you so much, Georgia. It's great to be here. Hi everyone. So my name is Phil Heeley. I'm a teacher, trainer and musician and an absolute passionate advocate of music technology and have been for 40 odd years. I'm really excited about this session because I want to share with you a really exciting development which I think will democratize music. BandLab For Education has now got 23 million viewers, people using it worldwide. And I think one of the reasons why this is happening is because it's free, completely free, it's safe, and it's available on any device using the Chrome browser, and it needs no installation. And so I see no reason why every school, every teacher of music, every student shouldn't be accessing this incredible platform and piece of creative software. So I don't want to talk too much. I want to dive straight in because I think to share it and show you how it works will be the most impactful. And I believe it will transform your teaching and your students' learning, particularly in light of COVID-19 and another potential lockdown, because it's available to use in school but at home as well. So let's just have a look at what we're going to be doing in the session. We're going to explore the platform, BandLab For Education. We're going to enter a virtual classroom, start an assignment and work through it from both a teacher and a student perspective. Begin a song by creating a small section of music, submit and grade the assignment, explore the virtual instruments and effects available in BandLab via an improvising 12-bar blues assignment, learn how to create an assignment, discover ways to collaborate with peers and with students across the planet, and learn why every student, teacher and school needs to embrace BandLab For Education. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen now, and what you can see here is my classroom. And because I teach a lot both in schools and online, I've got a number of schools here, in fact a huge long list of schools that I'm working in or have done in the past. And what I've done for this conference is create a Music Technology in Education conference classroom or virtual classroom within BandLab. And this will be accessible to you by downloading a handout that I will release later on. But everything you see today, don't worry about making too many notes about the links I'm using. You will have them at the end. So to get familiar with this, we go to edu.bandlab.com because, as I said, everything is available online. This is not something you download. This is a website that you just put in and you log in and you're straight into a virtual environment. So I'm going to open this as though it were a classroom. Music Technology in Education. And this is my teacher perspective. So this is what I have created. And you can see it says I'm in my classroom on the top left-hand corner. I can set assignments here for my students. And I have done in this classroom for this particular conference. And at the moment, the only members I have are me, the teacher, and a few of my homemade students. The one I'll be working with is Phil's student, so that's me, but from a student perspective. So back to the classroom, and this is what the student will see as well in a slightly different format, and I'll show you that in a minute. I've prepared some assignments. So this one up here is how to record a voice or instrument in BandLab. And I've got something that a student can play, a bit of audio.
I want you to be there. Oh, do you still care?
So that's a little preview. If they want to, they can watch a video. That can be helpful because you can choose whichever video you want to put in that you can upload, or you can find one in YouTube. So a few more assignments: create music for film using a video game trailer, how to create scary Halloween music in BandLab, the obligatory cat video, I'm afraid, 12-bar Boogie Woogie Blues. I'll just play a bit of that. Improvise and compose over 12-bar blues. And what I'm really showing you here is whatever you want to cover in your curriculum, you can load it into BandLab For Education in your virtual classroom, and your students can access it in the classroom or at home, wherever they've got a laptop or a MacBook or a PC. Basic skills is another assignment. GCSE music revision, practice listening questions, Rockschool music productions, improvise and compose for a specific purpose. And literally I could put hundreds and hundreds of assignments in. The one I want to start with, and I think will give you a good flavour of what this platform does, is songwriting. The introduction, task 1, exploring rhythm, texture, timbre and structure. And the aim is here for the students to see, to create a 4-bar section using 4 different instruments that go well together: a beat, a bass, a melody and another of your choice. And then some instructions. So if I show more, a handful of instructions which will come up on the student's screen as well. Now, as I said, I've only got 3 students in at the moment, but if I want to add a student, all I do is add a student here, click on that, and this code will come up, and you can make a note of that code because it means you can access this classroom anytime you want. It will be up online for as long as I leave it. But as I say, don't worry too much because I have in the download, in the handout, that link and for you to get straight in this classroom. And that means that you can access all these assignments, copy them, borrow them, adapt them in your own classroom, which you can create. So I'm going to go and switch my screen now to my student. And it looks very similar, but you can see in the top right-hand corner here is Phil's student, a little guy with his hands in the air. So I'm going to start an assignment as the student by clicking on the Start Assignment button. And I'm going to go to the teacher's assignment because the teacher has set it. And so the student can see exactly this. The assignment brief is on the right-hand side. There's all the instructions and will be throughout. Down at the bottom, the student can make notes here, lyrics or notes. They can collaborate with other students here, and we'll be accessing some loops in a minute. So the student's first task is to have a listen. And then, having had a listen, look back at the brief. It's time to start their own version of a 4-bar introductory section of a song. If they wanted to look into more detail, they could solo each part by pressing S over here. And I'm going to loop it around, cycle it around so they can hear it bar 5 to bar 1. So there's the beat on its own. There's the bass. A sort of vocal melody. And some chords, sort of a tune, a melody, all together. So what the student might do then is to grab all those samples or loops that I've used and delete them. We can delete with a right click and delete. And now they're ready to go to the loops down at the bottom where the infinity loop is, bottom right corner. And up come a huge selection of loops in many different genres. So I'll quickly scroll down. We can see those ones here: rave, classic city pop, IDM, Bollywood percussion, electric mood, songwriter's toolkit, some celebrities here, some pop stars, Tasha Kapoor. We can have just African Afropella, and that's just vocals or just synths and arps, deep house stabs. You can see how many choices we have of high quality, amazingly recorded loop packs. And to audition them, all you do is go to the play button here. let's whisk down to something completely different. Some Zulu porridge. One more try. How about Renegade El Rey? The fact is we have got hundreds of different loop packs covering most of the modern styles and also styles such as country or film music, experimental music, a vast choice. Now I'm going to suggest if we're into songwriting we should avoid some loop packs. Here are a few I use for songwriting and would recommend that teachers use when they're doing that. There we go, suitable songwriting loop packs. That's the names of them, and here is what they look like with either a cross or a tick. And again, this is available as a handout at the end, so don't worry about making notes on that right now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to screen sharing and I go back to the student, and I'm going to choose as a student the Songwriter's Toolkit. So I click on the picture and up comes a range of loops and samples that I can use. And the task says look for a beat first of all. So to audition a beat, all I need to do is go to any one of these. Here's Alfie Beat. And to hear another one, I just click on it. Keep clicking until I like one. So that one seems good to me, and all I need to do is hold down the mouse and drag and drop to the top left hand corner. And we talked about using 4 bars, so this one's a little bit short, it's just 2 bars long. So in the top right corner here is a little arrow, circular arrow. I can drag it to bar 5, which is 4 beats. So I can play that now. And because I've got the cycle on it, we'll go back to the beginning. So the next part of the task was to find a bass. And on the right hand side I can see these are beats. Here's a bass here. Let's try this one. Let's see how many basses we got. We've got a big choice here. That sounds good. So I'm going to drag that underneath the beat. There it is. This one in fact is 5 bars long. So I like the bass and I like the beat, but do they go together? Let's find out. Well, I like that, and the important thing about making music and being able to do this individually, like a personalized learning project, is that every child, every student can decide on what they like. Not what the teacher likes, not what their best friend likes, what they want, what sounds good to them. So I've got a beat and a bass, and now in the task it says I'm looking for a chord progression or a melody, a tune, something that I could hum, a vocal maybe, depending on which loop pack I'm in. So, ooh, horrible, in my opinion, of course. Let's try this one. No. Yeah, that's quite ethereal, quite nice for an introduction. So let's drag that in. There it is. And let's have a listen. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I'm happy with that. And the last thing is another sort of loop. Let's try a voice maybe. Bit weird. Okay, that's a flute. That sounds okay. Let's try that. Drag it in. And this is longer than my 4 bars, so all I need to do is click on it, and on the bottom right corner is a little icon which allows me to shorten it. Okay, I might lengthen it later, but for now, for this task, it says 4 bars, so I'm going to stick to that. Let's have a listen. Okay, maybe that's a little bit quiet, so there's a volume here on the left hand side. Let's click on that, just bring that up a bit and have a listen again. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I've whizzed through that. I've done the assignment, so the next thing to do is save it, top right corner, and submit it to the teacher. I could add a note saying, I like it, and submit. So I'm going to whiz back to now the teacher view, and looking into the assignments, and I can see there's a little green dot here under the songwriting intro task, which suggests to me that someone has submitted their assignment. There it is, Phil student has submitted his assignment, and that means I can have a listen to it as a teacher. Here it is, and I can listen to it here. I can see that the student has written I like it, because they can't spell very well, shame on them. And if I wanted to look at it as well, I can open in the mix editor, and I can see exactly what they did and how they did it, which is useful because I've got instant access to not only their notes and ideas, but also if they've made any mistakes, I can spot them. I can suggest what I think they should do. So I could return to student if I thought they'd made a mistake, or perhaps they have not, let's say, added a melody. Return student, or I can go to grade. So for now, I'm going to whiz through this and go to grade. Enter a score. Well, I think that deserves a B, and leave a comment. So this was excellent. Still can't spell. And then maybe some ideas for developing further. Of course, I would suggest some. Submit. And that is then graded. The student can see that grade. They can see the comment from the teacher. So let me just show you a few more things that can happen. For example, go back to my student. They don't have to go into BandLab by just doing a task or an assignment. If they go to the top right hand corner, they can go to their own library and start a personal project. Anytime they want, they can write some music. They can go into create project, and they could start with a virtual instrument. We've looked at browse loops. They could play in their guitar, their bass, they could record, they could use a drum machine. They could import audio and MIDI, which means that they can upload any song they want, any song they like, and have it in their BandLab private library. So I'm briefly going to go into instruments, because here we see another extraordinary element of BandLab, which is a keyboard. You can play it on the QWERTY keyboard, or you can play it on the mouse, as I'm just doing. And I can also attach a normal keyboard. Now we're going to stop for Q&As in a moment. I just want to go through a few little more things with this one, because we can add any instrument we want. We've got pianos there, but not just one piano. We've got bass, brass, critic kits, drum kits, guitars, percussion, strings, synth bass, synth keys, voices, winds. And if I go into grand piano, I've also got a choice of different instruments under that. So a vibraphone, for example, might sound like this. I can change the pitch so that now the pitches are on the screen. I can change octaves, and I can even put them into scale. So let's have major pentatonic. So I think that is all we have time for today, if we have any questions. So I'm going to hand back to Georgia for a moment and ask, are there any questions, Georgia?
Yes, so thanks very much, Phil, for that session. We have loads of questions actually that have come in from the audience. I've also shared some of those links to the handouts that Phil mentioned, so you'll be able to find those as well in the handouts tab. So let's just start with one of the questions from the audience. So we've got a question from Alicia Williams, who's asked, how do you combat the issue of some students not having access to a laptop/computer when planning to teach on BandLab?
Okay, well, that is a huge issue, because it obviously does rely on having the technology, and in this case it will be a PC, a laptop, a Chromebook which has an internet connection. Okay, so if a student doesn't have that, they cannot access this software. I think that would probably be the same with any technology. It does require some form of platform device to host it.
Great. Yeah, we had a couple of questions. Someone else asking about smartphone use, but you just answered that, so that's great.
Actually, Georgia, just to come in on that, the BandLab does have an app on the smartphone, which is absolutely brilliant, and on the iPad. But, and this is an important consideration, there's a public and an education version of BandLab, and it's only the public version that's available on Android or any mobile phone at the moment. So I would suggest this is a great feature, but I think I might be responsible to say it would require parental permission, because it does mean you're in touch with 23 million people live, and that has obviously with it some issues of security, whereas BandLab for Education is 100% secure and safe, FERPA compliant, COPA compliant, and so that's why I mentioned that.
Great, that answers Sean's question, who asked exactly that. So another attendee called Wendy has asked if you can create your own melodies and loops.
Yes, you can, Wendy. You saw me just right at the end there get out a little keyboard and a virtual instrument. So yes, you can use any instrument you want within there. There's about a couple of hundred, and you can, as I said, use the QWERTY keyboard, the mouse, or a typical classroom keyboard, as long as it's connected to the computer. Great.
One of the delegates has asked, they've been using BandLab for about a year now, and they've run into a couple of technical issues with logins and a couple of issues with work saving, and they just wondered if you have any additional advice on that, and if there's a best way for them to contact any support.
Yes, that's a good point. I've had a few people contact me in a couple of years that have had that issue, and it does seem fairly random and fairly doesn't happen that often, but I go straight to support@bandlab.com. They're really good, they're very efficient, and they usually get back to you in a couple of days, if not sooner. And what they'll do is they'll go in the back end and they'll sort out your classroom, sort out the login issues if you're having them.
Great. Final question we've got that's come in from Lydia. Lydia's asked how the program adjusts to the change of harmonies. How can the students make their own harmony progressions, and can they create their own melodies?
Yes, as I said, they can do it using that virtual keyboard, but of course you can use the microphone, you can record your voice and your voices, and you can also collaborate together. So it means the teacher can put students into groups, and they would be working literally together on the same screen, even though they're across the classroom or across the world, which is an incredibly exciting possibility. What I would say before we finish, Georgia, is that the screen that you can see now, which with all the useful links and information, all those links are available, and they should answer questions, but also you've got access to all those points I made, all those assignments, and some courses to help you really dig deep and get it into your school straight away, including BandLab For Schools here, a free COVID-19 edition, and many more. So I would encourage people to have a look at that and find out more about it, because we've only had a brief time to scratch the surface of an incredibly sophisticated but simple system.
Great. So thank you so much, Phil, for your time today.